Beloved anointed ones, stop your scrolling immediately. I am not asking for your attention today. I am absolutely commanding it. Someone who treated you as replaceable is currently experiencing a full-blown internal system crash, and it is a completely public and irreversible collapse. You know exactly who I am talking about. They walked around with absolute arrogance for months. They constructed a completely false narrative about you. They whispered toxic lies to anyone who would listen to them, but the universe just flipped the script on their entire existence. The mask they wore so carefully has not just slipped, it has completely shattered in front of everyone. Buckle in, chosen one. Because what you are about to hear right now is not just commentary, it is a specific and undeniable X-ray of the meltdown happening behind their closed doors. Do not scroll away from this frequency. If you leave this video early, you will miss the exact verdict heaven just finalized for your enemies. They thought they had you figured out completely. They calculated your breaking point and pushed you right toward it. They expected your departure to permanently destroy your spirit. But instead they caught a massive glimpse of your true spiritual strength. And that sudden realization damn near killed them. You became the uncertainty they were never built to handle. You see, they thrive on predictable emotional reactions. They feed on your desperate attempts to explain yourself. They wanted you to fight back so they could call you crazy, but you gave them absolutely nothing. While they waited for you to beg for closure, you simply unplugged from their matrix, and that terrifying silence starved their demons completely. Now the very people they used to gossip with are watching them unravel. Every time your name comes up in that room, they completely malfunction. It hits them with the agonizing weight of divine justice. They threw away. This is not a random coincidence. The algorithm absolutely did not bring you here today. God intercepted your feed because you are standing at the exact threshold of a permanent timeline shift. The enemy is working overtime to distract you right now. He is hoping you will swipe away because he knows your frequency is about to elevate permanently. Lock your attention on this message right now. Let us go deeper into what you are experiencing physically, because what you are feeling right now is not just stress. That heavy and suffocating feeling in your chest at 3 a.m. is real. The nights you wake up with your jaw tight and your heart racing are not accidents. Listen to me very carefully. That physical weight you feel is not a medical depression. You are absolutely not going crazy. That pressure is your highly advanced spirit detecting the absolute panic of the enemies who just realized they permanently lost access to you. They are starving for your light, and the spiritual backlash is hitting your physical body. Stop wondering why they act like nothing ever happened. Stop waiting in wound for an apology that will never come from them. You do not need their validation to confirm your reality. Their desperate attempts to drain your energy from a distance are failing miserably. The physical exhaustion you feel is just the echo of their spiritual starvation. They expected the betrayals and the isolation to carve deep and heavy wrinkles into your face. They wanted to drain the life out of your eyes completely. But time was supposed to age you, and instead you made time look like an absolute fool. You walked through their fire and came out glowing. You cracked a code they will never have access to. This is the undeniable power of the chosen ones. While their bitterness and envy are aging them like milk left in the hot sun, your biological clock is reversing. The universe has placed a permanent shield around your cellular structure. You carry a specific and irreplaceable gravity that alters the atmosphere of every single room you enter. They saw that gravity, and it terrified their shallow souls. They realized that you do not need them to survive. You are a demonstrated warrior of light who pulls strength directly from the divine source. And watching you glow from a distance is their ultimate punishment. They are trapped in a dark hell of their own making. I know you have been fighting these heavy battles in absolute silence. You thought nobody noticed your silent tears in the dark. You thought nobody saw how you held your absolute integrity when they dragged your name through the mud. But heaven was recording every single moment of your restraint. Your quiet obedience in private activated this massive public blessing. Let us go even deeper into the reality of your current physical state. You have been carrying a somatic weight that no doctor can properly diagnose. You feel it heavily in your bones. It hits you the hardest in the quiet hours of the night. And when the clock strikes 3 a.m., your eyes snap open with an unnatural alertness. You are not alone in this fight. That sudden jolt of adrenaline is not an accident. Your chest feels tight and a strange brain fog clouds your daily thoughts. You keep swallowing back that thick lump in your throat. If your spirit confirms this raw truth, gently press the like button to seal your energetic alignment with heaven. Medicine calls this anxiety, but I will tell you the truth. You are not dealing with a normal psychological issue. You are experiencing a high-level spiritual attack. That physical pressure is the desperate energy of a master manipulator crashing against your divine shield. They are completely locked out of your life, and now they are frantically throwing their dark energy at your walls, trying to find a way back inside. For years you operated as their personal human battery. Your pure light was the only thing keeping their empty void from collapsing. You absorbed their toxic chaos and constantly translated it into love. You poured your precious energy into a bottomless pit of need. But the moment you finally walked away, you cut their primary cord. You starved them completely. Now, they are going through severe spiritual withdrawal. The narcissist cannot generate their own light because their soul is entirely bankrupt. They require an empath like you to function in the normal world. When you enacted no contact, you did not just leave a relationship. You evicted a parasite that was comfortably feeding on your divine essence. This is exactly why your body is reacting so violently. Your nervous system is a highly advanced spiritual antenna. It detects their frantic attempts to reconnect with your frequency. They are sitting in their dark rooms obsessing over your silence, and their frantic thoughts are hitting your energy field like desperate waves crashing against a solid rock. Stop diagnosing yourself with clinical conditions you do not have. You are not broken, and you do not need to be fixed by the matrix. The heavy exhaustion you feel is the active labor of your spiritual defenses holding the line against their dark attacks. Your angels are working overtime to deflect their toxic projections away from your soul. The shield is holding strong, but the intense impact creates a somatic echo. You must understand that this heavy fatigue is actually a sign of your massive victory. It proves that your spiritual boundary is completely impenetrable. The manipulator cannot reach your mind anymore, so they are frantically attacking the outer perimeter of your energy field. They are hoping you will misinterpret this pain as personal guilt. They want you to believe you made a terrible mistake by walking away. But you are the chosen one, and your discernment is too sharp for their cheap tricks. You are the cycle breaker who finally said, "Enough is enough." The generational curses that fed on your bloodline have met their absolute match in you. You recognized the illusion, and you stepped out of their toxic matrix without hesitation. They expected you to return and apologize for setting a firm boundary. They thought the isolation would break your spirit and force your immediate surrender. Instead, you endured the heavy silence, and you allowed heaven to completely fortify your precious soul. You are no longer acting as the emotional stabilizer for a person who is deeply committed to their own destruction. You claimed your permanent freedom. Every time you feel that sudden drop in your stomach, it is a confirmation. It means they just realized another door has permanently closed to them. It means another one of their lies just fell flat in front of the people they tried to convince. Your physical discomfort is simply the exhaust fumes of their rapidly failing machinery. Do not let the enemy convince you this is your fault. Your only crime was loving too purely in a world that operates on manipulation. You gave them a pristine diamond, and they tried to treat it like ordinary glass. The problem was never your beautiful reflection. The problem was always their total inability to look at their own hideous truth in the mirror. They are absolutely terrified of the pure reflection you forced them to see. For the first time in their miserable lives, they cannot escape their own darkness. You were the pristine mirror that exposed every single hidden flaw they spent years burying deep inside. And now that you are gone, they are left completely alone with the terrifying reality of who they truly are. So tonight, when the clock strikes 3 a.m., do not panic. Recognize the physical sensation for exactly what it is. It is the sound of your enemies failing to breach your divine perimeter. It is the undeniable proof that your light is fully protected by the throne room of heaven. You are part of the remnant, and your frequency is untouchable. The pain is temporary, but the victory is completely permanent. Embrace the silence, because it is actively destroying their false empire. We are about to uncover the exact weapon you use to trigger their ultimate collapse. Prepare your spirit, because the revelation is coming next. Let me completely reframe your reality right here and right now. You probably did not realize it at the time, but your very existence was a lethal threat to their fragile ego. Listen to me very closely right now, because 99% of people completely miss this massive spiritual shift. You did not lose a relationship today. You escaped a highly engineered spiritual prison. What was the specific spiritual power inside of you that almost killed them? Why did your simple presence trigger such a violent and chaotic reaction from a master manipulator? They could easily handle a weak person. They could easily manipulate a desperate victim. But you are not ordinary, and you never were, because you carry the blinding light of a demonstrated warrior of light who refuses to break. You were not the anomaly in someone's otherwise healthy life. You were the mirror. Your pure frequency acted as a flawless reflection of everything they desperately tried to hide from the world. Every time they looked at you, they saw the exact opposite of their own twisted reality. Your absolute integrity highlighted their complete lack of morals, while your genuine love exposed the terrifying dark void inside their soul. They spent their entire lives running away from their own hideous truth. They built elaborate masks to fool the public into believing they were decent humans. But then you walked into their life shining exactly like the sun, and your brilliant light burned right through their carefully constructed illusions, proving that you did not even have to speak a single word to completely expose them. Your pure energy alone was enough to shatter their cheap disguise. This is exactly why they panicked and tried to destroy your reputation. When a creature of darkness is suddenly exposed to the raw power of heaven, they malfunction entirely, and their reaction got this loud because you got closer to their dark truth than anyone else. They realized that you could see right through them. That level of pure visibility terrified them to their absolute core, so they tried to dim your brilliant light to make themselves feel taller in the room. They projected their own profound insecurities onto your beautiful and innocent soul. But the universe designed you to be completely irreplaceable. You are a flawless diamond that simply cannot be scratched by their cheap psychological manipulation. Every single insult they hurled at you was just a desperate confession of their own internal self-hatred. Read that again in your spirit. Their intense hatred was never actually about you. It was always about the terrifying reflection of themselves that they saw in your eyes, and they wanted to destroy the mirror because they absolutely hated the ugly monster staring back at them. But you cannot destroy a divine artifact. Heaven forged your spirit in the intense fire of absolute resilience. So while they wander blindly through the world looking for someone else to drain, they will never find another cycle breaker like you. You possess a deep level of empathy that simply cannot be replicated by anyone else in this dark matrix. They foolishly traded the radiant sun for a cheap and flickering flashlight, and now they are freezing in the cold darkness of their own miserable choices. Your light was a divine gift, they were completely unworthy to receive. You handed them the keys to unconditional love, and they treated it like garbage. But that is always the fatal mistake of a severe narcissist. They always destroy the one person who could have actually helped them evolve. They pushed you away and sealed their own devastating fate, wanting you to take the blame for their deep spiritual sickness. They demanded that you lower your high vibration to exist comfortably in their hell, but a chosen one simply cannot survive in the dirty mud. The moment you stopped shrinking yourself to fit their small world, the entire dynamic completely exploded. Now I need you to imagine this exact scenario happening behind their closed doors. They are sitting in the pathetic wreckage of the life they ruined. They are desperately trying to convince their flying monkeys that you were the ultimate problem, but their fake story is already falling apart. The people around them are starting to notice the deep cracks in their desperate narrative. This is exactly why your somatic weight is finally lifting today. You are no longer carrying the heavy burden of their karmic debt, because the universe has officially severed the dark cord between your pure energy and their toxic wasteland. You are stepping fully into your untouched divine power right now. Your ageless glow is returning stronger than ever before. They can only watch in absolute horror as you thrive effortlessly without them. Let them choke on the beautiful memory of your pure grace. Let the agonizing weight of their regret consume their miserable lives. You did not just survive their coordinated spiritual attack, but you completely bent the reality of their entire situation. You are the ultimate cycle breaker, and heaven has fully endorsed your absolute victory. But what happens when the mirror is finally removed from their toxic life? What happens when they are left entirely alone with the chaotic noise in their own mind? The exact weapon that is destroying them right now is something they never saw coming. But here is the raw, uncomfortable truth they could never say out loud. You probably did not realize it at the time, but your silence was a lethal weapon. It was never an act of cowardice or passive surrender. Raging back at them would have given them the exact fuel they desperately craved. But you chose to walk away and completely shut the heavy door. That restraint was not a sign of emotional weakness. That absolute silence was a weapon of mass spiritual destruction. By initiating strict no contact, you did not just leave a toxic room. You completely cut off the primary oxygen supply to their entire fake reality. And that single act of choosing your dignity signed their permanent eviction notice. A master manipulator requires a constant flow of emotional reactions to simply exist in this world. They do not care if the attention is positive or negative. Your tears and your extreme anger are both delicious fuel for their empty souls. When you fight back, they feel incredibly powerful and deeply important. They absolutely need your chaos to survive the day. But what happens when you give them absolutely nothing in return? What happens when the chosen one simply turns their back and unplugs from the matrix? The narcissist experiences a catastrophic drop in their daily energetic supply. They are suddenly left choking on the toxic fumes of their own miserable existence, and the panic sets in immediately behind their closed doors. Stay with me, because this next revelation is the key to everything. They fully expected you to write long paragraphs trying to explain your deep pain. They waited eagerly for your phone calls so they could casually reject you again. They desperately wanted to punish you for setting a healthy boundary. But your phone stayed completely silent day after lonely day. That profound silence became the loudest and most terrifying sound they have ever heard. It echoed violently inside the empty halls of their dark and hollow mind. They started checking your social media, expecting to see you completely broken and depressed. But instead they saw you moving forward with an untouchable, ageless glow. You completely baffled their rigid and toxic system. You did not need their fake closure to heal your precious and pure spirit. You recognized that their toxic words were just a cheap illusion designed to trap you. So you weaponized your absolute absence and left them stranded in the cold dark. Now they are suffocating under the heavy weight of your profound, unbothered energy. You literally starved their desperate demons to death. Every single day that you maintain no contact is another day they lose their grip on reality. They are scrambling to find new victims to replace your high and pure frequency. But nobody else in their life carries the divine light of the anointed ones. The cheap copies they surround themselves with cannot satisfy their deep spiritual hunger. The downgrade is incredibly obvious to everyone watching them. They are secretly drowning in the loud noise of their own making right now. They are frantically trying to provoke a reaction from you through flying monkeys and subtle traps. Do not take the bait under any circumstances. Your absolute refusal to engage is driving them to the brink of total mental insanity. You became the solid brick wall their fragile ego completely shattered against. This is the exact divine justice heaven promised you from the very beginning of this journey. You won the entire war without lifting a single physical finger against their toxic attacks. Your pure energy was simply too expensive for their completely broken and cheap budget. They tried to bargain with a flawless diamond using dirty and worthless pennies, and the universe permanently rejected their ridiculous offer. Let me explain exactly how this energetic transfer works behind the hidden scenes. When you were with them, your divine light acted as a protective shield around their chaotic life. You constantly stabilized their hostile environment and absorbed their incredibly bad karma. You were the designated empath carrying the heavy weight for a deeply ungrateful person. You kept their sinking ship afloat for years. The moment you implemented strict no contact, that protective shield was permanently revoked. All the toxic karma they generated is now returning directly to their own front doorstep. They have absolutely zero protection left against the harsh consequences of their own destructive actions. The spiritual umbrella is gone completely, and they are standing entirely exposed in a massive and violent storm. Type 777 in the comments right now to physically claim this incoming miracle. Lock your frequency in and declare that you will never break your powerful divine silence. Your physical action right now anchors this profound victory directly into the material world. You are completely and entirely free from their heavy chains. The cycle is officially broken forever. Let us examine the exact evidence of their total destruction right now. Heaven is actively releasing 3 specific spiritual signs that their entire toxic system is collapsing right in front of their eyes. The first 2 signs are happening behind closed doors right this very minute, but the third sign is the absolute point of no return for their fragile ego. Do not leave before you hear the third sign. If you miss the final sign, you will miss the confirmation of your victory. Listen to me very closely right now. Sign number 1 is their frantic and chaotic search for a replacement supply. The moment you walked away and starved their demons, they immediately panicked, and they desperately tried to fill the massive void you left behind with cheap distractions, because a narcissist cannot survive on low-level frequency for very long. They require a pure diamond like you to function properly. They are surrounding themselves with people who lack your deep spiritual insight, and this immediate downgrade is incredibly obvious to absolutely everyone watching them fail. Every new person they bring into their life simply highlights your undeniable absence. They try to recreate the exact magic they had with you, but it always falls flat because nobody else can tolerate their intense toxicity while offering unconditional love. Your specific depth is utterly unreplicable in this shallow matrix, so they sit in crowded rooms feeling completely and entirely alone. The new supply is already exhausted by their endless demands and erratic behavior. And the manipulator realizes with deep horror that they threw away a divine gift. They are starving at a table full of empty plates. This brings us directly to sign number 2 of their public collapse. Pay close attention to this next part, because the enemy tried to hide this from you. Sign number 2 is the rapid deterioration of their physical reality. While the universe has completely reversed your biological clock, they are aging like spoiled milk, and the heavy karma they projected onto you is bouncing back and hitting their physical body. You stepped into your permanent and untouchable, ageless glow. Your skin is clearing and your deep somatic weight is finally lifting. But look closely at the rapidly failing reality of the master manipulator. The deep bitterness and intense envy are carving heavy wrinkles into their miserable face. Their dark eyes look completely hollow and entirely drained of life. They are physically rotting from the inside out. The spiritual sickness they carry is now manifesting as extreme physical exhaustion, and they cannot sleep peacefully because their own demons are keeping them wide awake at night. This is the exact vengeance heaven promised you from the very beginning. You are completely protected while they face the harsh music alone. Type 777 in the comments right now. Claim this massive shift and lock your frequency. You must understand that this collapse is a precise mathematical certainty. When a creature of darkness loses their primary source of pure light, they simply cannot sustain their fake empire. They built their entire life on a fragile foundation of constant lies and heavy manipulation, and a house built entirely on dark lies will always collapse under the weight of divine truth. You were the only pillar holding it up. Read that again in your spirit right now. You were the only solid thing in their completely chaotic and messy existence. Without your constant grace and endless forgiveness, they are spinning totally out of control, and their financial situation is crumbling while their daily routines are falling apart. The universe is actively dismantling every single thing they hold dear, and they are completely powerless to stop the bleeding. Stay with me, because this next revelation is the key to everything. We are approaching the third and final sign of their absolute destruction. I told you that the third sign is the irreversible tipping point of their dark karma. This is the exact moment where their carefully constructed mask shatters permanently. The first 2 signs were just the quiet warm-up for the massive explosion that is coming next. The narcissist can hide their internal panic from the public for a little while. They can use filters to hide their physical decay from social media. But sign number 3 involves the one thing they absolutely cannot control anymore. Something highly classified is shifting in their inner circle right this second, and the dynamic is fundamentally changing in a way they never anticipated. They spent months whispering toxic lies to secure their social standing. They thought they had successfully turned everyone against your pure light. But heaven is now releasing a specific judgment that completely destroys their false narrative. The ground beneath their feet is violently shaking right now. Prepare your spirit for the final, undeniable verdict. Sign number 3 is the ultimate betrayal of their own loyal followers. The flying monkeys are finally waking up from the dark spell. For months, this master manipulator used a dedicated group of enablers to spread completely vicious lies about your character. They thought this toxic army would protect their fragile ego forever, but the tide is turning violently against them. Now, I need you to imagine this exact scenario happening behind their closed doors. The manipulator is sitting in a room surrounded by their usual audience. They start telling the same tired lies about how you ruined their miserable life. But this time, nobody is nodding in blind agreement, because the energy in the room has shifted completely. The audience is staring at them in total silence, because when you removed your pure light, you also removed their favorite scapegoat. Without you there to absorb their daily chaos, they started projecting their severe toxicity onto everyone else. The flying monkeys are suddenly experiencing the exact same abuse you endured in silence, and the heavy mask has finally shattered for everyone to see. Everyone sees the ugly truth now. The people who once defended them are now quietly backing away. They are noticing the massive inconsistencies in every single story the narcissist tells. They are watching this deeply broken person malfunction over the smallest inconveniences. And they realize that you were never the crazy one in that toxic dynamic. You were the only one holding their fragile sanity together. The flying monkeys are starting to compare their private notes. They are realizing that the narcissist told a completely different version of the story to every single person in the room. The web of toxic lies is simply too complex to maintain anymore, and the manipulator cannot remember which lie they told to which loyal servant. The entire system is glitching violently in real time. Let me reframe your entire reality right here and right now. The manipulator is desperately trying to regain control over their shrinking circle. They are making frantic phone calls and demanding absolute loyalty from people who are already disgusted by their behavior. But the dark shadows are rapidly closing in on them. The isolation they tried to force on you is now their permanent reality. This is exactly where their entire manipulation severely miscalculated. They built a fake empire on the assumption that they could always control the narrative, but they forgot that pure light always exposes the hidden darkness eventually. The very people they used to gossip with are now gossiping about their dramatic public unraveling. Their precious reputation is burning completely to the ground. You are watching the absolute destruction of a karmic enemy from a safe distance. Your angels moved you out of the direct blast zone just in time. The heavy darkness that used to drain your energy is now swallowing them whole. They are drowning in a terrifying ocean of their own toxic creation, and there is absolutely nobody left to throw them a lifeline. Listen to me very closely, because this part is absolutely crucial. The darkness is not just surrounding them from the outside. The dark void inside their own chest is actively consuming their remaining sanity. They look in the mirror, and they finally see the terrifying monster that you saw months ago. The absolute horror of facing their own hollow soul is driving them straight into madness. Every time they try to reach out for help, they are met with a cold shoulder. The enablers are terrified of getting caught in the massive crossfire. The master manipulator is finally experiencing the exact soul-crushing abandonment they inflicted on your pure spirit. But unlike you, they do not have the divine strength to survive the lonely wilderness. This is the raw and uncomfortable truth they could never say out loud. They needed you to be the villain so they could play the innocent victim. But your unbothered silence proved your absolute innocence to the entire world. Your refusal to engage in their messy drama elevated your status permanently, making you look like absolute royalty while they look like a desperate clown. Before we go any further into the final climax, you have a divine duty right now. There are other chosen ones who are currently sitting in the dark and wondering if they are crazy. They are carrying the same somatic weight you carried for years. Share this specific message with one soul who is desperately crying out in the dark for a shift. Be their angel today and help them break the matrix. By sharing this frequency, you are actively building the remnant. You are expanding the divine shield around your own life while helping another cycle breaker escape the trap. The elite narcissists want us completely isolated from each other. Do not let them win this spiritual war. Send this message to someone who truly needs to hear this exact validation. Now prepare your spirit for the absolute peak of this revelation. The pressure in their toxic world has reached a boiling point that cannot be contained anymore. Underneath all of that noise, the specific gravity of their massive regret hit them all at once. We are stepping directly into the explosive climax. Watch exactly what happens when the final pillar of their fake reality collapses. Here is the exact verdict heaven promised you from the very beginning. We have finally reached the ultimate tipping point of their dark karma. I want you to visualize this exact moment in slow motion. The master manipulator is standing in a room full of their loyal followers, and they are desperately trying to hold their fragile mask together for the crowd. But the heavy pressure of your complete absence finally cracks their shallow soul. The fake smile drops completely from their aging face. Their hands start to physically shake in front of the very people they lied to. Someone in the room casually mentions your beautiful name, and instead of launching into their usual toxic smear campaign, they completely freeze. The entire room goes dead silent as they watch this arrogant person completely unravel, because the dark void inside their chest finally consumes them whole. And then, the impossible happens right in front of everyone. The master manipulator breaks down in heavy and uncontrollable tears. They do not just cry quietly. They sob violently in front of the exact people they used to gossip with. And through their desperate tears, they start aggressively defending your pure character while they violently slam their fist on the table and demand that nobody speaks ill of you ever again. They publicly confess that you were the only real thing they ever had. They scream that they ruined the greatest blessing heaven ever sent them. The flying monkeys are staring at them in absolute horror. The web of toxic lies is completely destroyed in a single agonizing moment, and their carefully constructed reputation burns to the ground right before their very eyes. Everyone finally sees the terrifying monster they tried to hide for so long. This is the undeniable public humiliation they desperately tried to avoid. They threw away a flawless diamond to play with cheap and worthless rocks, and the specific gravity of that massive mistake is crushing their physical chest right now. They realize that they will spend the rest of their miserable life entirely alone. Nobody in that room will ever trust a single word they say again, because they are permanently trapped in a cold hell of their own making. This is the exact X-ray of the meltdown I promised you earlier. Your silence did not just hurt their fragile ego. Your profound silence permanently ended their toxic reign of terror, because you won the entire war without speaking a single defensive word. While they are publicly humiliating themselves, you are sitting in absolute peace. Heaven is forcing them to clear your name in the exact rooms where they tried to destroy it. They wanted you buried deep in the cold ground, but instead they became the dirty shovel that dug up your ultimate treasure. You were never the anomaly in their sick and chaotic life. You were the pristine mirror reflecting their darkest sins. And when you finally walked away, the mirror shattered into a million sharp pieces. Now they are bleeding profusely from the deep cuts of their own toxic reflection, while they desperately try to pick up the broken pieces of their fake life. Let them choke completely on the beautiful memory of your pure grace. They expected you to wait in wound for a fake apology. They expected the brutal betrayal to carve deep wrinkles into your innocent face. But you walked out of their toxic matrix and aged backwards effortlessly. You carry a specific and irreplaceable gravity that makes time itself look like a total fool. You stepped into your permanent and untouchable, ageless glow. This is the raw and uncomfortable truth they must live with forever. They will search for your pure frequency in every single person they meet, but they will never find another cycle breaker like you in this lifetime. The universe has officially sealed their dark fate. You are a demonstrated warrior of light who bent reality itself. And their public collapse is the ultimate trophy of your divine victory, proving that nobody can touch a chosen one and walk away unpunished. The people in that room will never look at them the same way again. The heavy silence that follows their dramatic confession is absolutely deafening. The enablers who once helped them spread vicious rumors are now slowly backing away. They realize that the master manipulator is completely unhinged and deeply dangerous. The fake empire they built on your stolen energy is completely gone, and there is absolutely nothing left but ash and bitter regret. This public execution of their ego is why your body feels so light today. The heavy somatic weight you carried for months is officially dissolved. Your highly advanced nervous system knows that the threat is permanently neutralized. The frantic energy they used to send you has completely flatlined. They have absolutely zero power left to project onto your divine shield, meaning you are totally untouchable and they are forever broken. The massive karmic debt has been paid in full by their own public destruction. You survived the storm and became the blinding sun. Breathe out deeply and let your physical body finally relax. The heavy battle you fought in absolute silence is officially over today. The brutal spiritual war that drained your precious energy for long months is completely finished. You can stop looking over your shoulder right now, because the unseen threat is permanently gone. The master manipulator is entirely trapped in their own cold and personal hell, and you are completely free to walk away without a single ounce of lingering guilt. Heaven has placed a massive iron shield around your entire physical reality. The intense somatic weight is melting away from your tired chest right now. You will sleep incredibly peacefully tonight, knowing that divine justice has spoken the absolute final word. Your highly advanced nervous system is finally returning to its natural state of pure calm. The chaotic frequency of the enemy can never reach your sacred space again. You walked into this season bleeding heavily from deep wounds. Those wounds were inflicted by people who were completely blind to your massive true worth. They tried to break your beautiful spirit and turn you into a desperate victim. They desperately wanted you to carry their dark shame forever. But look at you now, chosen one. You are no longer waiting in wound for a fake apology from a master manipulator. You have completely transcended their toxic and entirely broken matrix. While they are publicly unraveling and begging for cheap mercy, you are stepping into your permanent and untouchable ageless glow. You reclaimed your brilliant light without speaking a single defensive word. The universe is crowning you with absolute and undeniable authority today. You are one of the rare two people on this earth who can carry this specific heavy frequency. The intense financial struggles and the heavy spiritual exhaustion are completely shattering right here and right now. Step into your absolute power and receive the exact massive harvest heaven specifically prepared for you. You are the fearless cycle breaker that your entire bloodline has been desperately waiting for. The heavy generational curses stop permanently with your pure and resilient heart. You did not just survive the violent storm they sent to completely destroy you, but you became the blinding sun that easily burns away their dark shadows. Your pure frequency is vibrating at an elite level that they can never ever reach. You are an irreplaceable diamond forged in the intense fires of divine isolation. They threw you to the hungry wolves, but you returned leading the entire pack. Let the truth of your massive victory sink deeply into your cellular knowing today. But you must understand something incredibly important about this massive victory. You did not survive the violent fire just to live a mediocre and completely ordinary life. The final verdict of explosive abundance has already been signed in the high courts of heaven. The incredible blessing is waiting for you right now, but a massive spiritual shift requires a physical anchor on this earth to activate completely. The enemy knows this exact powerful secret. So, your logical left brain will try to inject heavy doubt right now. The dark matrix will actively tell you to wait and calculate your next move carefully. It will whisper that you should hesitate. Silence that toxic voice immediately, because that hesitation is the exact matrix programming designed to keep you broke and entirely stuck in the mud. God does not measure your deep faith by your quiet thoughts or your silent prayers alone. He measures your powerful faith by your speed of absolute physical obedience. The window of massive multiplication is standing wide open right now in this exact moment, but it demands a bold physical action to lock it firmly into place. Are you truly ready to claim your absolute freedom today? Prove to the universe that you are entirely ready to receive this profound blessing. Do not let the dark elite steal this massive energetic shift from you. Heaven demands your immediate physical obedience today. Sow your financial seed or give a super thanks right now to partner your finances with this divine mandate. This is a sacred energy exchange that permanently seals your spiritual protection. Your bold and immediate generosity triggers the massive harvest instantly. When you give to the divine truth, you build an impenetrable wall around your future wealth. Sow your seed of faith today and watch heaven completely multiply your massive reward before the bright sun even rises tomorrow. The toxic cycle is completely broken and you are permanently free from their heavy chains. Step proudly through the open door right now and claim your ultimate crown. You are the chosen one and your glorious reign begins today.